Well, I've got Katie Harris here, who's a visitor to this show. You've played here before, though, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. I think it was a couple of years ago just now, but yeah.
Yeah, and so we're going to ask you what you think of the Beardy Festival this year. Have you been here through the whole weekend?
Yeah, so we got here on Thursday and there were kind of an amazing amount of people already here and just kind of pitched up the tent, and so good to just be in a field full of music appreciators again and hear the music in the distance and all the kind of things that you seem to forget about when you kind of not at a festival. You can kind of hear a penny whistle from a tent somewhere in the field and all that kind of thing. Yeah, it was so nice.
Yeah, and I've got Benji Kirkpatrick here, who is making the most of it, appearing several times during the course of the weekend. What's it like, Benji, coming back to playing a festival?
Obviously, it's great to be performing live again in a festival environment. So it's lovely, and it's just coming in, driving into the festival, not being quite sure what it's going to be like or how, what the vibe's going to be, and then going in and realising, oh yeah, it's like a festival, like we used to do. And so that aspect is really nice, and seeing people milling about and wandering around, enjoying themselves is great. Yeah. I won't deny there is an oddity to it as well. After the last 18 months of stuff going on, some things, I don't know, quite odd about it. Having been away from it from so long, I suppose, and the audience having not experienced it for so long.
Yeah. Last night you were rocking us. That was something else. Is this a development in your music? I mean, this is where you're taking us with some Hendrix in there.
With what I do myself, yeah. I mean, I've always done that kind of thing in one way or another, even if it's on my own, with nobody else listening. So it's always been an aim of mine to have that kind of setup. The trio in particular, with drums and bass. Obviously, the Hendrix experience had that set up, the Cream, the Police, ZZ Top, and I'm a big fan of that setup. So it's been an aim of mine for a while, and what I write myself has never been. It's just what I write, so I wouldn't call it folk particularly. It's definitely more in the rock area.
And I think it takes people back to that. A lot of the people following folk music today will remember those days and remember Hendrix and that sort of rock era. So you're sort of taking people back, I think, as well.
Yeah, maybe. A few years ago, I did a dedicated project to Hendrix, and brought an album out of acoustic renditions, reimaginings of his songs, which I loved doing, having been a long-time fan, and it was a very interesting exercise, sort of uncovering his songwriting beneath the noise of Hendrix and the era that he comes with as well. So it was very interesting, and I always like to throw the odd Hendrix number in.
Yeah, just they're quite difficult to play, aren't they?
Some of them are. Some of them, when I was working out the songs for the project, some of them sort of happened immediately on, mostly the bouzouki, but I did one or two on banjo and mandolin. But a lot of them fit very well on bouzouki. There were a few, particularly Angel, if you know that song. I think it's his most covered song, actually, but not released until after he died. That's quite a chord structure going on. And I'd always just thought, I'll never be able to work that out. But when I sort of came down to finding songs for the album, I thought, well, hang on, let's have a go. And actually, it works really well. So it just takes a bit of, close listening to work out what the hell he's actually doing. Yeah. And then transferring it to different instruments.
It's very impressive because, there are very few musicians, I think, that, that actually do that, attempt to do his songs or his tunes. Being in different bands, Does that give you that versatility? Is that part of it? The fact that you can be one thing in one band and then be something else in another?
Definitely, yeah. Variety is the spice of life, as they say. So doing lots of different things definitely helps, and every one thing informs every other thing that I do. That's how I sort of find it. So that's the great thing about being in lots of different bands and doing, even though most of what I do is largely in the folk or sort of acoustic area, it's exploring slightly different avenues within that, with all of them. You know, Steel Eye, for example, is very different to Seth Lakeman. Or whatever the other things are that I do. I forget. So the variety is great, yeah.
Do you ever play with your dad?
Yeah. We did one duo gig over 20 years ago now, because somebody asked us. Yeah. And we sort of chatted and I thought, I suppose we could do. But it's never been sort of a thing that we do as a performance, but we've always played in Ceilidhs for Ceilidh dancing together. So we do have a family band with me and my three brothers and dad, which is called Kirkophony, hilariously.
I always ask, when it's a family of musicians, is what's it like at family parties when you all get together?
Well, we very rarely play any music, actually.
I thought that might be the answer.
Yeah, I mean, we did a bit when we were younger, I suppose. I mean, when we were younger, there were just always instruments lying around, so we all just picked them up and messed around. So there was music going on in that way. Yeah. But yeah, when we get together, we just sort of talk rubbish, basically, and have a laugh.
Sort of family matters.
Yeah, and a bit of that too.
Yeah. Katie, what's happening with your music now? You bringing out some new music soon?
Sure, yeah. So in April I released like an EP of kind of just listening to you saying about reimagining some people's songs and how it kind of informs kind of what you're going to do next. And I released a collection of kind of John Martin songs that I kind of reimagined with two members of his band, which was a dream come true, really. So I played with Spencer Cousins on grand piano and Alan Thompson on fretless bass, and they're both kind of heroes of mine, and kind of playing the songs of the musician that I admire the most was really special. So we recorded it live in the studio and released that in April. And at the moment I'm just kind of focusing on finishing off writing my next album, which I'll release next April. So yeah, it's exciting.
Is there something about as you become more successful as a musician, you get this opportunity of meeting your heroes and playing with your heroes on albums and things like that? Is there a bit of apprehension about doing that when the opportunity arises?
Yeah, completely. I mean, I kind of worked with Spencer before, kind of recording and releasing my debut album. So he produced that, and so we're friends now. But I think working with Alan, I've kind of watched him from being a kid, really, kind of online and listening to his music on record and things like that. And so I was kind of nervous about kind of working with them, but when I got there, it was I just really wanted to enjoy it, and we completely did, and it was just really wonderful to kind of work these songs out that I've kind of grown up with, and play them with two musicians who were just incredible. So yeah, I felt really privileged to be in that situation, but really enjoyed it.
That's lovely. Benji, what's it like being a musician at a festival like this? I mean, meeting all the other musicians. I mean, is it something that happens? You do the rounds of the festival season and you all come across each other, a big camaraderie? Yeah,
largely. To an extent, I should probably say. It is like that to an extent. You often bump into the same people at festivals and catch up with. There are always certain people that you connect with more than others. So, little sort of groups, I suppose, develop, and you bump into those people and hang out a little bit. But previously, when there were more festivals and life was like it was, quite often it would be an in-and-out job, and you'd say about 3 words to those people which you sort of feel like you know really well, having bumped into them at millions of festivals. But you've only got time to kind of say hello, do your gig, and then they're off doing something else, and then you're off doing something else. So the whole thing can be very transitory.
I guess it must be better if you have the opportunity of being able to stay, you know, like playing 2 or 3 times during the festival, because that gives you the opportunity of actually being able to take part rather than sort of parachuting in, doing your thing, and then having to rush off to do something else. So
Yeah.
So your takeaway from the Beardy Festival this year, Katie?
I think so far I really enjoyed Sam Brooks. He was a real highlight for me. Yeah, just amazing arrangements, and the musicians were just incredible. His vocal range is out of this world. So yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Benji, what about your takeaway from?
Well, I'd agree with that, actually. I didn't watch him in so much detail, I don't think, as Katie, but yeah, incredible voice. I did particularly like Mark Radcliffe's cover of Let's Dance.
That was very impressive, wasn't it? Very impressive. And that, a bit like your Hendrix, it's such a difficult track to do, you know, and so unusual to hear it being done like that. Very, very good version. Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for chatting this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the festival.
Thanks a lot.